Hi there, Working Homeschool Mom. I'm so thrilled that you're here with me today. This is episode number 46 of the Strike a Balance podcast for Working Homeschool Moms. And today I talk to Potem King from the Fortune Cookie Mom, and she shares some really valuable insights into unschooling and unschooling multiple ages. It's a fantastic episode. I'm sure you'll get so much value out of it. But before we get to the actual episode, I would just like to ask you if you could rate, review, or subscribe to the podcast. It just means that more working homeschool moms can find it. And as you know, it's my passion to support and help as many working homeschool moms as possible. Thank you so much. Hello and welcome to the Strike a Balance podcast for working homeschool moms. This is Charlotte Jones. I'm a homeschool coach and homeschooling mom of twin boys. I know it can feel really overwhelming to keep all the balls in the air all the time. So each week I chat about tips and strategies for being a happy and thriving working homeschool mom that you can implement in your life too. I also speak to awesome and inspiring women who manage to juggle homeschooling and work successfully and find out what their secrets are. Be sure to check out my time audit and mindset challenge in the show notes and sign up to my newsletter for lots of cool freebies. And if you ever need to chat, please book in a session with me. I'm so excited for you to be here and I hope you'll get so much value out of this episode. So let's get started. Are you looking for a new math curriculum? Well, I'm thrilled to introduce our favorite math curriculum to you. CTC Math specializes in providing online video tutorials that take a multi-sensory approach to learning. Favorably reviewed in Cathy Duffy's 102 Top Picks and the Old Schoolhouse Crew Review, the lessons are short and concise to help your children break down concepts and appreciate math in a whole new way. The lessons are taught the traditional way and not to a test. Each one of the video tutorials is taught by an internationally acclaimed teacher, Pat Murray, who is renowned for teaching math concepts in a simple, easy to understand way and in only a few minutes at a time. Using a multi-sensory approach means having the combination of effective graphics and animation synchronized with the voice of a friendly teacher together with a practical assessment. This three-pronged attack makes learning so much easier and more effective. Even students who struggled with math are getting fantastic results, and ones who were doing okay before are now doing brilliantly. Visit ctcmath.com today to start your free trial. CTC Maths is generously offering my listeners an amazing special. Go to www.ctcmath.com/MLH to get a half price discount plus a bonus 6 months for free. That's ctcmath.com/MLH. Today I'm thrilled to be talking to Potem King about unschooling multiple ages. Potem is a former Cantonese and Mandarin teacher and a private piano teacher who graduated in linguistics. Since she is raising multilingual kids, she started creating her own Chinese homeschooling materials and shares them through her blog, Fortune Cookie Mom. She helps parents gain confidence and know how to homeschool in Chinese through online courses, Chinese materials and printables, speaking at conferences, and sharing daily activities through various social media platforms and her blog. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today, Potem.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
So before we start talking about unschooling multiple ages, maybe you could tell my listeners how long you've been a working homeschool mom and why you chose this journey.
Okay. I have been a homeschool mom, I think around 9 years now. Since my oldest, 9 years since my oldest was 4 years old, and our family actually moved to Hong Kong. Well, at that time, just the entire family, we just kind of decide, okay, this is where I'm from, and my husband like, oh, let's sell everything, and then we moved there, and then for a couple of years, and this is what I always kind of dream about. I don't want to fly back and forth for my parents every summer and just stay for a month and so, and then come back, and I'm like, oh, when we want to teach the language, we need to live there. And then my husband suggested, I'm like, okay, sure. And then we did. So then entire family lived there and end up for 7 years, and a lot of craziness there. And that's how we start, because when we got there, everyone just asking us which school your child is going to go. At that time, she was only 4 years old. Right now, she is 11. And then we're like, what? go to school. Like I was not prepared, and I'm like, and everyone actually, most of the kids start school when they are 2 years old right now. We're like, huh? And then so my husband and me, talk about it, and my husband doesn't really like the idea to send our kid to local Hong Kong school. And so he like, you should homeschool. And that is my, I've never, I don't know, when we get married, we never talk about we homeschool. We just like, oh, we have children, all this. And then so that's how we start to homeschool.
Oh, fantastic. And I think you've also chosen a really, really interesting path, and that's unschooling. So I'm really excited to talk about this because I think there are lots of kind of misconceptions about unschooling. I think people think that it's basically just letting kids do what they want to do, and also kind of unschooling, homeschooling multiple ages, which I know can be intimidating for lots of parents, homeschooling parents. So let's maybe start with, what do you think are the advantages of unschooling children?
Well, we didn't start with unschooling. I was using like a more like a theme based when they were little. So now I have five children, but before when we do theme based, we mostly have the first three children. So I that's why how I start making my own Chinese material. So different unit or theme. So each month we learn certain topic, and it went really well in the first 3 4 years. You can say when they were little. I prepare all sorts of activity, and we just have like a little school at home thing, and it went really well. And when my oldest, especially her again, um, around 7 years old, I think, and she started reject every plan I have, plan out. I'm like, oh, that's she reject and she don't want to do anything, kind of a deal, and I have no idea what to do. And at that time in Hong Kong also have a lot of crazy political thing happen, and so we pretty much stuck at home, and then COVID hit, and then we really stuck at home, and so I was stressing out, and I have my fourth child at that time, and just a lot of things going on. I'm like, oh, what are we gonna do? And so I kind of pretty much kind of stopped making more resources, and I kind of stopped planning out every single thing anymore. I'm like, oh, that's no use. She didn't, and the other kid kind of following her, and I have no idea. So I kind of stopped for a couple months and just see what they want, and just let them to lead me, more than I kind of take control anymore. And that's kind of, and I realized at that time, after a while, I realized that's how, I start unschooling. And even though I didn't do any planning and make a lot of, crazy activity and all this stuff, my kids still learning, and they still asking questions. They still making a lot of amazing craft, and they just doing it on their own, kind of, but without me planning every single thing. And at that time I come, I don't just stop, like, just watch TV or sleep in or something, but I, do a lot of research, find books and see what I supposed to do, at that moment. And I found out that's called schooling, and so this is how I started. And so we moved to, from Hong Kong, we finally got to move back to the States here, and I keep doing it because my kids are older now, and we have, I have my fifth child, and life is insane. We're balancing everything, pregnant, breastfeeding, and running, everything. And so I think unschooling is amazing because I don't need to really plan out, but more things that I'm work on is observing a lot, and I have to be with my child a lot. I don't, just do nothing, but I'm constantly. We do have routine. We not like just you go play video game, crazy. Don't eat. Don't go to sleep. Like no, we do have our family routine. Normal, but in those time that free time, they kind of pick what they want. So I set up. Not I set up, but my home have different like toys or crafts and stuff, material, and so they just go do whatever they want. And is a lot of risk taking in the beginning, and still like I'm not sure what they are doing, even though they just sit in the corner or they just in their bedroom and or outside, but they are, the thing is I need to see the, how much the result, for example, like my third child, he is 7 right now. And so beginning kind of like he is kind of in the moment of in between homeschooling, the theme base we're using, and unschooling. So he is really the start time when he was really little. And so most of the day he just play on the carpet in the living room, like with blocks and stuff. And sometimes I feel like, oh, is he bored? Will he feel boring? I bet he is. But I didn't really have exactly like lesson plan out every single minute or hours. But also, I think he was playing is the calculator we bought from IKEA, which is like a register. He just tip tap 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 tap, see all the numbers and show me all the number form in English and all this, crazy fun thing. And then for a while, he just doing that on his own, and then now he figure out on his own how to addition, subtraction, and he even kind of know how to do multiplication and division all by himself without memorizing the multiplication table. And it is amazing. And he loves numbers, and he is pretty like I hate math. And so, I'm like, yeah, I don't really need to teach him. But of course I can, if he have question about certain problems, math things, I need to help him. But other than that, he is playing and figure on his own in his timetable. And that's just one example that we discover, and that's pretty amazing to me.
Absolutely. I think it's quite frightening though to kind of let our children lead, but I've heard so many stories time and time again how kids naturally want to learn and how they are able to teach themselves so many things if you just give them all the opportunities to learn. So as long as there are obviously books around and toys and things like that they can learn so many things. I think it's amazing. So obviously, as you said, I can imagine before you had everything kind of planned. So what do you think are some of the challenges of unschooling, especially 5 children, where things are maybe not so planned out, where you have to kind of go a little bit more with the flow? What are some of the challenges of that?
The first thing is trust, faith, pretty much, to myself, to my kid, and the entire situation. Like 5 kids, like a lot of time, especially my older one, like they just off to their bedroom or they're out in the yard, and I have no idea. Like I'm not like I can't any micromanage them anymore. Which kind of like a Chinese culture, and which I'm changing a lot. Like I haven't. I'm just like, oh yeah, go for it. Or they do ask me permission to do stuff a lot of times still, but they have a lot more, like they have more freedom, and they are capable to do a lot more things. Like sometimes find out they're making fire outside without permission. I'm like, and all this. I'm like, okay, but you make sure all this, and so this is a challenge. I can't really keep track of them every single thing, and that's exactly kind of unschooling. We need to supposed to let them trust them completely, trust the process, and trust they are going to learn what they need when it's their own time. Every kid are different. So that's a challenge for me that constantly need to remind myself, I need to trust my kid. They're gonna be okay, even though they're making fire, and or even though they are not reading in this week, looks like in front of me. I hope they are reading somehow, or they're not producing. There's all these things that people think traditionally they have a timeline for a kid for from first grade to fifth grade or whatever, what they're supposed to do, what they're supposed to learn, that my kid made like pretty much off the table. They are doing really well on the other side, but like not doing other thing. And so that that's huge, that I constantly need to read books and like listen to podcasts about unschooling, and to ensure myself that I'm doing fine, and this is what we want for our children, instead of kind of plan out everything for them. And for a lot of kids, of course, which I never thought I want to have. Like we have so many kids, it's crazy. But one of the challenge also for unschooling is I always feel like I cannot help them individually enough. I cannot satisfy everything they want, which, even though I'm sure when we have one or two kid only, we cannot ever, satisfy and give them everything. And so, that also I need to constantly remind myself that we need those emptiness. We need those things that we are not able to fulfill for them or satisfy them so that they can have the desire to find out on their own. Because I constantly, my life is mom, 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 for until they go to bed. They all constantly have questions, they have things they want to do, complaints, just keep going every day. And so I need to make sure, myself pretty much to know that, okay, it's all right. They need those moments, this empty spot in their life, so they're able to motivate themselves and to figure out on their own. Yeah, and I think a lot of time is more like self-care, self to me, like ensure what am I doing is right, and to stand for what we want to keep doing it, especially for unschooling.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings up an interesting point. What are some of the things that you do to kind of make sure that your kids feel like they are supported and that they have enough attention? Do you have some kind of practical things that you do with multiple children?
Yeah, I think, well, they crave for one-on-one time all the time, even my oldest. And so I try. It's hard, especially when I have my fifth child. So I try to spend one-on-one time every day, maybe one to two child, like kind of schedule. But actually, we're doing a lot during the day, but they just don't notice. But they want to be official. Okay, this is my time with my mommy, my daddy, and so one-on-one time is huge. And since fifth child barely is going to be 1 year old next 2 weeks, or next week actually, and so we still in the time, balancing everything, and so doing chores with them is huge, because that is really one-on-one time, and I don't have to drove them to go on date, or I spend extra time because I'm super tired at the end of the day, and barely put all my kid to sleep, and so chores is huge, and it's part of unschooling, part of life. And so I love to cook with my kid one-on-one, and my kitchen is teeny, even though we're in the US, and it's teeny, like Hong Kong style. And so we can probably fit in one or two kids only in the kitchen, only with me. And we vacuum clean the bathroom, toilet, those time, like doing dishes, those are huge for especially my older kid. And we chat with what's going on, what are you reading right now, what we can work on, what is your goals. And that's very, very like a vital thing for us right now, especially I don't really have extra time to do, like to go out with them. Another thing for little kid is bath time. Like older kid, I don't bathe them anymore. They do it on their own. But the little kid, they still play in the water, and at nights for like 10 minutes to 15 sometimes, leave them there. And so we sing, we read some books, and mostly we just play together. And if I have time, like when I really can, and when I see them struggle and crave for attention and maybe sad sometimes, I do find after I send all the kids to bed, I do leave one child at a time and do something that they want to do with me. For some, especially my older kid, like they want to maybe just read books with them, and they read aloud and sit next to them. And most of them, I'm like kind of out because I don't really understand everything they're reading. Like Minecraft book, I'm like, okay, but they want me to listen, so I sit there for them, and not try to pretend, but sometimes I'm tired and want to go to sleep. I'm like, okay, and stay in. But that I know that means a lot with them, to them as well. Yeah, so that's what I can do and what I am doing for my child right now, the children.
I think that's amazing because you can't underestimate the power of just having a conversation with your kids, I think, because they find, I mean, you learn so much about them and they can learn so much from you. I think it's absolutely amazing just to have some one-on-one time just to talk or play or whatever. I think that's fantastic. And that you kind of do it so consistently. That's, yeah, I think that's a really, really good tip. And then, so if somebody's considering starting with unschooling, what are some things that you think they should think about, or what are your kind of tips for getting started with the unschooling journey? Maybe thinking about, like, often people's families maybe don't support, or they don't know where to start in terms of like resources and things like that. What are some things that they should think about or that they can do at the beginning?
Well, first, I would suggest a lot of people talk about a process is called deschooling while you're unschooling. So pretty much is a time which we everyone take different time. It can be a lifelong journey. Like I'm keep going in the same time, kind of erase all the traditional school mindset. So what we're supposed to do, what kids supposed to learn, what our timeline is supposed to be. I still have the mindset, but I'm trying to I'm these years on unschooling, so I'm trying to erase them and let it go and just let it flow on its own. And so that's part of it. And you can totally go research and all this, and I'm also listening. One of the I don't know, is it one of the most but to me is huge. Always talk about unschooling. Vodka is called sorry, it's called Honey, I'm Homeschooling My Kid.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, they have a lot of resources about unschooling. That's how I actually started, unschooling. And I also reading books, and they don't have a lot of books out there. I'm reading. One of them I really love is called Unschooling to University, and also and how children learn from John Locke, and those are huge. Like reading books about unschooling, and then when reading them and try to start to plan less thing. And so like unschooling is not like don't do anything, but unschooling also other term is mean child led. Let the children to plan and in charge instead of parent, because homeschooling is not, when we do homeschool we let parents do in charge instead of the government or school. And now I'm switching from parent led to my children, and especially they're older, it's just much easier because they want to, when they become teenagers and preteen, they just want to in charge, take charge and to take control of their learning and everything pretty much. And so this is how I start, to let go and let my children to pick what they want to do. That's kind of start, I start to let go more time and more free time for them and do more observe. And also I'm starting to have I just have a journal dedicated for unschooling. Kind of I write down all my children name each page. Each day I'm trying to record what they are doing. So for example, my third child, for example, playing calculator, watching number block, this is how he start. I'm like, okay. And the other child maybe catching jumping spider outside and release at home. Actually they did. And other child may be reading books like for 4 hours nonstop. And so keep track of what your kid doing. Feel so instead of feeling, oh, I didn't plan out anything. And so those when I need to figure out what activity or what field trip should I focus on, or what our family goals, or what next step, what step we should do next time, next year or something. We do have all these things, but it's just not me to in charge. I'm going to take a look at this journal. I'm going to, reflect on the photos we take and things that they didn't do and they want to do, and all this combined. And then I start to have discussion with my kid, even especially for the older kid, what you want to do, what we focus on. And it's not like a year thing, even like every like 2-3 months, I need to revise it and change because kids change. Our circumstances change. They have new interest, or they want to go back to old interest they forgot about, or they really want to do it again, and we change our subject want to learn. And so it's a constant thing, changing, modifying, polishing, and refining, you know And this is kind of a process that if you want to start, and I think, we can, I'm still doing it all the time, this, and reassuring my what I'm doing, and then go back and keep trying.
And what about if you kind of have resistance from family members or friends? How would you give some advice for people who face that when they tell people that they're going to be unschooling?
Yeah, so the first one you need support definitely is your spouse, because you're in the and it's huge. And I think I'm lucky that my husband wants me to homeschool, and he actually really like unschooling this idea as well. So I got one support. And so if you don't have your spouse, I'm not sure what to do. And talk with your spouse and try different thing. Maybe do compromising different thing that will get your support from the spouse. And I think your spouse is so important to have his or her support right here. And so if you get this done and he or she say yes, okay, good, next. Family, like cousins, family member, like, so where I come from, I'm from Hong Kong, so go to school is important, extremely important. And so I'm lucky, kind of, my mom say, she didn't really do much, but she will still advise me, like, when our grandkids go to school, all this, are they able to go to college, university? And this, she's still, and my dad didn't really talk much with me, and that's traditional dad there, but they still concerned. And so I just tell them kind of what I did to you guys, and
Mm.
some example I see my kid doing, what they are doing, what we are doing every day, and even show them journal, even in English, and photos that I put it in social media, and what, that's what they are, their future goals, and share with my parents all the time, and my other friends, and other people. And don't worry about what they think. And stand for what you need and what you want. And I think that's it is the way. We can please everyone, and everyone have their objective, what education should look like, especially for right now after COVID. A lot more people think homeschool better, or other approach, whatever it is. Yeah, just stand for what you believe, and keep revising, and keep looking at, if things change, you need to send your kid back to school, or they really want, and this is maybe some way. Because of unschooling, it's not just stay at home and let them, it is, but like, if your child want to go to school, and this is what I eventually may want to, because my oldest kid especially, she's asking me already. And so I may send him to school for certain classes, or we may go to online classes for things that they are craving for, they really want to get the answer. But just for different method, not necessarily go to public school, they can go to other classes, they can go do this and that, instead of the traditional way, to find the answer, to find to help them develop what they want, and yeah, things like that.
I think we're lucky that we live in a time when there are so many fantastic possibilities to teach our kids up, like away from the traditional education system. I think it's fantastic that we are in this time. And obviously, like you said, COVID, I think, made more people realize that it is possible and that you can do it and that kids can learn as effectively at home. To finish off, maybe you can tell us if there's anything you're working on at the moment that you would like to share.
I didn't really work on crazy a lot of thing on my blog yet. Still working on my, helping my kid. But I do have helping my readers. If if you're interested to add Chinese in your homeschooling journey, you don't have to know it at all. How to start and everything. I do have a free page for resources that you can, and it's in my homeschooling. Sorry, is in my blog fortunecookiemom.com, and you will find free printable, and you can click there, and you'll see different resources. I do have a lot of different theme pack. That's how I start to homeschool my kid, and you can utilize it with English or whatever language you're using with your kid. In the same time, to add in Chinese, little by little. And I have different worksheets, coloring page, a little book that can help, and also poster and how to decorate your home to help them, more Chinese friendly, language friendly, and things like that. And so, yeah, go ahead and go to my website and you can take a look. And also, I, do normal, social media thing in my Facebook and Instagram as well.
Okay, and I see Facebook and Instagram is also Fortune Cookie Mom, so people can find you everywhere with that handle. Okay, fantastic. I will
Yep.
also put that in the show notes. All right, thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy day to chat to me, Potem. It's been wonderful to get to know you.
Thank you so much.
I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Drop me a DM on Instagram or post on the Working Homeschool Mom support group over on Facebook. And let me know what resonated the most with you. It would also be great if you could rate, review, and subscribe, or share the podcast with a working homeschool mom who might need it. It's my mission to support as many working homeschool moms as possible. Until next time, take care. Hi there, working homeschool mom. I'm so thrilled that you're here with me today. This is episode number 46 of the Strike a Balance podcast for working homeschool moms. And today I talk to Potem King from the Fortune Cookie Mom, and she shares some really valuable insights into unschooling and unschooling multiple ages. It's a fantastic episode. I'm sure you'll get so much value out of it. But before we get to the actual episode, I would just like to ask you if you could rate, review, or subscribe to the